Hello everyone, and welcome back to the channel. JC here with another video on Action Taimanin. Today we're gonna check how to play with Asuka. But before we start, don't forget to leave a like, subscribe, and share if you enjoy the content. Also, leave a comment on what characters you want to see next. Now, as usual, let's start with Asuka. Asuka is a machine type character and also a suppress type character. That's very good. Those are really good traits. So we're going to take advantage of those with the builds. And my Asuka, as you can see, is level 81. So she can get stronger, but she already has unlocked the awakening skill. Now, let's see. First things first, the skills. We're going to start with Soaring Dance, which is the launching attack. Usually, launching attacks are pretty bad, but Asuka is an exception, and we're going to start with that build. Thanks to her multi-hit, she's able to destroy super armor, but the most important thing is her supporter, her limited supporter. That's what really allows her to use this skill. So let's read this. It says during normal attacks, hold and repeat attack. Performs an airborne attack by lifting an enemy airborne and slashing them with continuous blade strikes. 1 green reduces cooldown, 1 blue increases damage by 25%, and 1 red is going to add a falling attack at the end of the skill. Pro tip on this skill, if you're going to use it, you may want to go down a little bit. You just go up and then go down and then start doing the attacks so that you can hit the other enemies. If you don't want them to hit you, then keep attacking on the air. If you want to hit the ones that are on the ground, just fall down a little bit and continue with the attack. Now, Dust Cyclone. Dust Cyclone is a dash evade attack, and is going to kick forward, and those charging attack inflicts additional hits with the wind. So yeah, it is a kick that gives some kind of wind slash, yes. And this is one of the best skills. In fact, I think I use it in all the builds that I did. And I have plenty of builds this time. So, 1 green. Also, it procs on the main. That's really important. And that's why this is a very good skill. 1 green increases damage by 12% for 10 seconds. 1 blue, main blue, increases speed by 15% for 10 seconds. Main red, increase critical rate by 20% for 10 seconds. All of these effects are good. The number of multi-hits on this skill is good. It is a really good skill. If possible, use it. That's my recommendation. Then we have Rendering Storm. Rendering Storm is a double dash attack which jumps and kicks downwards from above. This is actually an okay skill because these skills are kind of weak. If you get hit, you get interrupted super ugly. It's disgusting how that happens, that you use an attack with a high cooldown and then you get interrupted. But there's 2 advantages for this skill. Number 1, you do double dash, and that's gonna give you some distance between you and your enemies, so they probably won't hit you. And then the other advantage about this skill is that it's pretty fast. It goes down easily. So not easily, quickly. So that's great. Then it's the all red skill. This with 1 red is going to knock up the target, which is okay because it's gonna be an AoE attack. So if you want to use it for farming, it is fine. It isn't like super busted of an effect, but it's acceptable. Then 2 red deals an additional area attack with a strong gust. That's why I say it's AoE. And with 3 red, increases damage by 150%. Yeah, pretty strong. Red is probably her strongest build, but green is not far behind. Then we have Spiral Blast. Spiral Blast is a counter attack. Immediately after you get attacked, you have to dodge, and then you're going to activate this skill. Immediately after an enemy attack, counters the enemies with a spinning attack. Yeah, it does the Beyblade thing, but uh, it is not bad if you build her correctly. If you have the weapon that recovers HP, it's okay. If you have a supporter that recovers HP, it's okay. So even though she doesn't have like natural means of HP recovery, she can use this skill effectively, especially because two of her effects are very strong. To green is going to reduce the defense of the enemies by 20% for 8 seconds. To blue is going to reduce the enemy speed by 20% for 10 seconds. To red reduces damage taken by 25% for 8 seconds. Defense reduction and speed reduction are great. Defense is not that good. Then we have Wind God Slice Zone. This is the perfect evade skill. You're going to conjure a gust of wind that automatically attacks the nearby enemies upon extreme dodge. That's good, especially because of the amount of multi-hits that it does. It is not big damage, it's just multi-hits. So, with 2 green increases damage by 50%, with 2 blue increases the speed by 20% while active, and it's worth mentioning that this skill lasts a good amount of time. It's not something that you just should forget about. It's pretty good. And then 2 red increase attack range by 60%. You would think that would be the weakest effect, but it's actually pretty good. Especially if you want to play Asuka with a range build. I know that she looks like a mixed attacker, and yes, she is a mixed attacker, but for the most part, the vast majority of her damage comes from range attacks. So keep that in mind. You can use this with a red build on damage increase, range damage increase, and it's gonna work perfectly. Then we have Mag Punch. Mag Punch is an hold evade attack which punches forward and deals an area attack that creates an explosion. This is pretty good, but it's the weakest skill. Why is it the weakest? Because of the set 3, but let's check those very quickly. So 1 blue is going to increase the burst radius by 70%. Excellent. That's very, very good. Number 2, blue. 2 blues are going to burst. Burst makes enemies groggy. That's acceptable. If you're dealing with mobs, it's not bad. But for the most part, we know that groggy and other status elements are not going to deal too much control on the enemy, like stun and such, unless it's a debuff. Then set 3 increases critical rate by 50% and gains super armor when used. The super armor is really appreciated because she's kind of vulnerable in this state if she doesn't have the super armor. So this is a good skill. It can deal a considerable amount of damage, especially AoE, but it won't feel as strong as other skills because this is the one that receives critical rate instead of damage. And even with all the damage focused supporters that you can equip to Asuka, she might not do good enough. Unless you're fighting a single boss. If you're fighting a single boss, maybe it's acceptable damage. Because we don't have too many supporters that pair well with Asuka in blue. And I mean for damage. There's limited options. So, Kill 'em all missiles. It is a hold attack and performs range attacks by firing 3 homing missiles. When a skill slot is activated, 3 additional missiles are fired. Yeah. Unfortunately, this is the skill that requires three of the same color, which limits its ability to perform effectively in mixed builds. But you can use it even so, and especially if you want it as a means of recovery with the corresponding weapon. So 3 green is going to reduce the enemy's defense by 30% for 10 seconds. Great. 30% reduction, as I mentioned, it's a very big amount for a normal skill. Then set blue, 3 blue is going to reduce enemy's speed by 20% for 10 seconds. Excellent. Asuka is one of the characters which can perform as a dedicated slow debuffer, so keep that in mind. 3 red, missiles knock back enemies. No, that's horrible. Don't do that. Okay. Definitely, there's better skills to use in red, so keep that in mind. Then, Taimanin art, Wind God. This is the basic enhancer, so enhances normal attacks and deals range attacks with her wind blades. So basic attacks are gonna turn into range attacks and increases damage by 10% on one supporter, increases damage by an additional 20% on 2 supporters, and increases particle charge amount by 50% on 3 supporters. This is a splashable skill that you can equip if you don't want to use another skill, or if you don't feel that anything else is cohesive enough with your strategy. It is just good. It is not busted. It is not like a must-have, but it's usable. If you want to equip it, it's fine. Then we have Mag Impact. Again, a dash attack, which punches the enemy with a charging attack while moving forward. On 1 green, is going to charge particles by 2%. On 2 green, is going to trigger an explosion that performs a range attack, a range area attack. So that's pretty cool. All of her skills focus on range damage. All of her, not range damage. All of her 3 color skills are going to focus on AoE attacks. So they are pretty good for clearing enemies and doing multi-hits onto one big enemy. Then on 3 green, increases critical damage by 250%. I love when critical damage is the multiplier on a green skill, because green is innately critical. All the supporters are going to do crit with this color, so it's great. Then we have the Awakening skill, Bombscape, which is a hold debate, performs an area attack by spreading bombs while retreating. This is good, but you have to use it properly. With 2 green, your bombs are going to inflict knockback damage. With 2 blue, they reduce the enemy speed by 20% for 10 seconds. With 2 red, they are going to burn the target, dealing 60% of damage for 10 seconds. So, what's really strong about this skill are 2 things. The area of effect, which is very, very big, and also the fact that you're going to evade and float around. You can pair this along with Wind God Slice Zone to actually deal damage while you evade. So, do keep this combination in mind. It's pretty good. And the slow is excellent because, as you can see, she has 3 skills that slow the enemy with blue. So, we're gonna start with this build. DOS Cyclone to get critical rate. Then we're gonna use, where is it? Yes, the what's the name? The launching attack, Soaring Dance, and we're gonna use Wind God Slicer. This is gonna be triple color. I don't usually do those, and they usually go with the Taimanin art, the launching attack, and the one that activates on the main. But in this case, we want this skill because of the multi-hit, because we're gonna rely on Asuka. White Feather Asuka is going to allow us, here, I need this one, is going to allow us to break super armor, which is going to allow us to use the launching attack. That's why we're using it, and that's basically the only reason why I'm going for this kind of build. Because Asuka has ways to deal multiple hits very easily with those. And since we have the critical rate, I decided to go for Kawaru in green, because we have critical rate, so let's pair it with critical damage, and generic damage from Uraru. For the weapon, I'm going to be using on most builds Serpent of Carnage. I use a nano machine on this one. Or Demonite, I don't remember. The material, that material, you know what material. So most of the times this is not going to affect her gameplay. That's why I'm using it. The limited weapon does affect her normal gameplay. That's why I remove it. And it restores HP. For the builds that use kill 'em all missiles, it's going to restore HP with the damage it deals. And it deals more damage to super armor enemies. Of course, Magatamas are going to be Demon Magatamas, Anti-Demon. This is 3 out of 5. 3 out of 5, I need to get more. Okay. It's plus 15. And whatever Magatamas. Okay. Skills. Yeah, everything ready. So let's test this out. I have to do this super quickly because I have like 40 minutes before I have to start working again. So, as I mentioned, this is going to rely heavily on the super armor break. Okay, nice. Nice. And it deals a ton of damage thanks to the critical rate increase. Come on, evade. Yes. And why are you not coming here? Oh my god. This thing just got stuck with 1 box. Unbelievable. There. So, increase crit, evade, and do the... Come on, the launching attack. They have a lot of super armor. Come on. Okay, one more time. Evade. And I didn't even complete the launching attack, but you can do it if you want. It is viable with this build. Which it normally isn't. Okay. So as you can see, you can get a little bit down, a little bit low, so that you can continue with the attack, just in case. Okay, I'm gonna start with the builds. I did so many builds for this one. I have to check my camera because I didn't have the slots to actually do them all. This is the triple color build. Let's go with pure colors. This is the red build. For this one, we're gonna rely on the weapon. We're gonna do the analysis later. So, what's the important thing here? That Rendering Storm is going to synergize with the weapon, if I'm not mistaken. Is it Rendering Storm? Yes, Rendering Storm. It has a chance of doing it twice. That's why we're using the weapon. On this one, we're gonna use Dust Cyclone, also to get critical rate. And we're using Wind God Slice Zone because, I mean, we're using Asuka again. You can use different supporters. I'm not going to use them, but you can use different supporters if you don't have the limited supporter and weapon. You can use Spica, especially to get a little bit of invincibility so that they don't interrupt you and reduce your HP. You can use Susune. Susune is not the best, but you want the snare and the HP recovery. That's why it's good. Also, you can go with Shiranui. Shiranui is not good in general with her because of the melee focus on the passive, but the active allows her to be useful. And besides, she's a mixed attacker. Some of her attacks are gonna be melee. Let's see, is there someone else that you want to use on the main? No, for the most part, that's about it for what you want to use in the main. You could use Indomitable Fumatogiko or Eleanor because they are generic good, but I wouldn't recommend them. And for other slots, you can use generic damage, preferably generic damage, because as you can see, the skills are range, melee and melee range. So it is better to do generic damage like Yukina and Stella. But if you want to focus on the range damage, you can always use Nino and Granny. Where is Nino? I don't see Nino. Girl, where are you? It's because I'm not doing red. You can also use, like always, Homura, Nino, Rani. You can even use Nagi. So keep that in mind. So yeah, this is going to shred the enemy's super armor and it's going to abuse. The weapon also puts some kind of tornadoes in the ground, which continuously deal damage, which is good. The good thing about red is that the enemies don't have a chance to do anything because they are always groggy or stun lock, whatever you want to call that. So that's good, that's good. Let's see. What else? And we have a big area of effect here, as you can see. And the supporter, Asuka supporter, has a chance to actually recover your HP, which is pretty good, considering that she doesn't have enough HP recovery. But for the most part, you won't need it because you're abusing the armor break, which allows you to not take hits at all. So yeah, that's good. As you can see, some tornadoes are made thanks to the weapon. Come on. There. Kick. Oh, not that one. I wanted Yukikaze. Yukikaze is always the most annoying one. Come on, come on, come on, come on, come on. Oh, hit me or something. There. Okay. And it's not breaking the super armor. Well, I finally killed her. That's it. Now, what else? This one, as I mentioned, I wouldn't recommend other skills on this one. This is not recommended for red. Kill 'em all missiles? Nah. I mean, if you want bombs away, that's fine. That's a skill that you can use. But preferably, use Dust Cyclone along with Rendering Storm. And yeah, these three are just too good to miss, in my opinion, for red. Now, let's go with green. Green is busted. Busted, just as red. So, Mag Impact along with Kill 'em all missiles for defense reduction and Spiral Blast for defense reduction. In this case, we're going to be using the weapon that we got for free, this one. And specifically, we're using Kill 'em all missiles. Not only because of the defense down, but also because with this weapon, it's going to be a means to recover HP, which allow us to use Spiral Blast. If you are not using this weapon, I do not recommend Spiral Blast. Instead, go for Dust Cyclone or Bomb Escape. Yeah. And for supporters, Akane as a way to recover HP and increase critical damage, critical rate and critical damage from Suruga, and critical damage for Kaoru. So yeah, the critical damage on this is gonna be disgusting. So let's test her out. Yeah, if possible, do get all the limited weapons for Asuka, because she's kind of a character that underperforms if she doesn't have her limited weapons. Both the limited character release, the limited set, which is the machine, the white feather Asuka, and the seasonal, which is this one. The one about I don't know what she's supposed to be. I would say something, but I don't think it's right to set so here. Okay, so damage. Look at the damage. I'm not even using Kill 'em all missiles. The combo is to let yourself get hit, then use kill 'em all missiles, and then use Mach Punch. That's the actual combo, but I didn't do it. It's just strong enough as it is. You don't even need to be very picky about it. If you're doing challenging content like BR, yes, then do so. But I wouldn't recommend actually using Spiral Blast on BR. It's kind of risky. Instead, go for Dust Cyclone, which gives you a damage increase. Yeah, so that was green. Let's go with blue. Blue was the most difficult of all. Let's check. We're gonna use, again, Slicer Zone, Mach Punch, and Dust Cyclone. What a surprise! All the same. So, why was it difficult? Because she doesn't have any means of HP recovery. She really needs to have Akina here. If you don't, you're gonna struggle with challenging content. Another thing, you can equip one of the 3 main supporters for the damage according to the stage that you're tackling, and that's gonna work. But since I'm doing Demon and Onigumo isn't complete just yet, I use the ticket that gave us free copies of the supporters, of the free supporters. So that's why she's 3, but I didn't get more than 1 copy in the event. So you can use those, but I'm not using obviously Onigumo because it's incomplete. You can also use Uraru. And here comes the problem. Arabella is okay if you are going to tackle a stage where there's a boss, and only a boss. But if there are mobs, you don't want to use Arabella, you want to use something else. And there are many options which you can use effectively without focusing on one kind of damage. For example, this is critical damage for range attacks. This is melee damage, and such. So that's the problem. So instead I'm going to go for Akina, which is going to constantly provide HP for my character and is going to synergize with Dust Cyclone because I do need to get hit in order to proc this skill. No, it's not Dust, it's Spiral Blast. I'm not using a Spiral Blast. I mean, it's fine because I don't want to take too many hits. So yeah. So the combo is Dust Cyclone, then evade an attack and Mach Punch. After that, they're not gonna be attacking you. After all those hits, they're gonna have their super armor down. So for Asuka, it's all about knowing when to evade. Okay, come on. Come on. Oh, yeah. There we go. It's this one. Look at the amount of hits that thing does. I mean, God is fast. And it deals a ton of damage. A shame that it needs more damage. The supporters are not helping enough. Yes, and there. The bad thing about the synergy between these skills is that you want to be near the enemy, and it's difficult to position yourself properly at close distance so that Mach Punch does what it's supposed to do. Okay, come on. There. Wow, the damage. As you can see, I'm not getting enough damage here. And my HP is already down, but I can consistently get HP if I evade and just wait. Okay, yeah, a little bit of this. And I need to wait a little. Oh, come on. They were down? There. Done. Yeah, that was close, but the only thing you need to do so that they don't kill you is to receive a hit once the effect is active, every 15 seconds or so, if I'm not mistaken. Akina's effect, I mean. Yeah, every 15 seconds. Uh-huh. Lost HP 5 seconds after getting hit every 15 seconds. Yes. So be careful how you play with this build. And now we're gonna go very quickly with blue. No, mix. This mix is going to be green, green, and red. 2 greens and 1 red. So same weapon, same Magatamas, and it's gonna be Dust Cyclone along with Wind Slicer and Spiral Blast. Why are we doing this? Spiral Blast is going to reduce the enemy's defense. Wind Slicer is going to give us damage, and Dust Cyclone is going to give us critical rate. Why? Because we are going full critical with a combination of red and green. So Baretta along with Akane and also Kawaru. We have critical rate thanks to the skill, so we can focus on pure critical damage here. So that's gonna be... I mean, none of these skills are particularly strong, but they do deal enough damage so that we defeat the enemies quickly. Yeah, that's the thing about not having one of those super strong skills, triple color or such. So yeah, that's the disadvantage. And this, if I'm not mistaken, this build doesn't have HP recovery, so you have to defeat the enemy quickly, which you're supposed to do. I mean, look at this. Be careful when you receive a hit. You do want to receive a hit in order to proc the defense down, but at the same time you want to save those because you don't have HP recovery. There. Nice. So what I'm going to do is that I'm going to receive a hit just now, then I'm going to evade, then I'm going to do... Come on, there. Evade, and I do this, and I get near the enemy so that I deal consistent damage. There we go. Yeah, it deals a very decent amount of damage, which is why this is viable. Usually it would be a very risky skill, a very risky build, but it is okay as long as you take care of your HP and evade properly. You don't want to abuse the Beyblade too much, so keep that in mind. Then we're gonna use... no way, I didn't save the... Oh my god, I didn't save one of them. Let me check if I have it here on my... I think I do. Yeah, let's go with all blue. We're gonna go with another one which is all blue. This is a supportive build for VR. So Asuka, oddly enough, we're gonna use Sue. I mentioned that most of her damage is range, but we can use it on this specific build. We're gonna use Akina for HP restoration, which you can change for damage in VR, especially against Mass Taimanin. This is kind of a build for Mass Taimanin. And we're gonna use Uraru. So with this we have damage, and we're gonna prolong debuffs. And which are going to be the skills? We're gonna use, let me check. Here it says kill them all missiles. These are important, especially with the weapon. If you don't have this, it's kind of risky. If you don't have this weapon, because you want the HP recovery. Then we're gonna use Bomb Escape and Spiral Blast. So I change this to Bomb Escape, and with these 3 skills, I'm gonna have speed reduction, and guess what? Speed reduction. So this is a control strategy. that's meant to be used on human VR, Mask Taimanin, you know. But it also works on normal stages, definitely. You have the amount of HP recovery required and also a good amount of control on the enemy. So come on, hit, and I do this, and bombs away, and I also do this, and I continuously deal damage and keep the enemies so slow that they can't even hit me. And if they do, I just counter. So yeah, that's a build. It's pretty good. I haven't ever thought about this because I didn't analyze too much her. Come on, there. Oh, but it was alone. Well, come on. It's some cooldown, that's why. Yeah. I do love this, but unfortunately, as you can see, it doesn't have enough damage to do things fast. It is control after all. It is more of a supported build that you want to use on against Mask Taimanin because she can just because of that. So I'm going to do this, and I'm also going to do kill 'em all missiles, and that's it. I just continue to spin, to evade. I mean, you could also do the combination of what's the name? Wind Slicer, the one that makes the wind around you. But I don't want to, since this build is so weak in terms of damage, I'm actually going to use the ulti just so that I can speed this up. Not that I need it, but I as I mentioned, I have to work soon, so I have to hurry up. Yeah, counter. Bombs away. Super slow. And that's it. Yeah, they won't kill you. She's tanky enough by having HP, a huge amount of HP with the supporters, and all the HP recovery she has from the supporter, Akina, and the weapon with killable missiles. So that's one. Let's do another one because I have many builds for this character. It's unbelievable. So yeah, this one is going to be one with red, which is going to use Spica, Uraru, and I'm going to use this. If I'm not mistaken, it focuses on red damage. Let's see. I don't use this, so Dust Cyclone, yes, and Bomb Escape, yes. Wind God Slicer Zone, this one. Yes, those are the supporters. There we go. So what is this going to try to do? It's going to try to focus on range damage. As you can see, we have two skills that do range damage. And this one, the main damage comes from the range part of the attack. So that's why we are using Reina. But we don't have HP recovery. That's why we are using Spica. And Spica also helps us thanks to the critical damage increase on range attacks. So I'm going to change this outfit. Let's use this one. Yeah, thank you. Now, I'm also going to check the next one. Oh yeah, the 2 red, 1 green. Oh my god. For this one, I really made a ton of... Come on! Let me check the commands. Yeah? That's why. Oh, I got interrupted. Unbelievable. Yeah. Whatever. Yes, there. That's what I wanted, to evade an attack. So, as usual with the red-green combination, you do this, and then you evade, if possible, that is, to get the critical rate increase. There. Critical rate increase along with the damage on the wind slicer zone. So now, super important, I do this, I activate invincibility, I evade. Just like that. And bombs away! Yeah, it deals a pretty big amount of damage. Come on, let me. Bombs away! Evade. Hit. And... yeah, that's a good thing about the wind slicer zone, that you continuously attack even if you're stunned. So yeah, the invincibility is pretty good, especially when there's a ton of mobs. And now, let's go with the other one. I have so many builds. This is going to use Suruga as the main. Let's go with Suruga. Suruga. Where are you, Suruga? Here. Then Barretta. Barretta. Where are you? There. There she is. And Yukina. Yukina. Just to get damage. I could use this one because it gives me more damage, but I'm going to stick to something more F2P. And for this one, it is pretty weird. I'm going to use God Slicer. Wind God Slicer Zone, yes. And I'm going to use DOS Cyclone, but I'm going to go for the Taimanin Arch. So what's the appeal of this build? Let's see. Let's go with this one. The appeal of this build is that she is going to have a huge amount of damage, and you don't need to get near the enemy. You have most of your damage coming from range attacks, so you don't need the healing. That's the good thing about this, that you deal a bunch of damage without getting near the enemy. I mean, depending on your game style, of course. But that's the idea with this specific build. Let's see. So there we go. And the area of effect is huge. I love that. I mean, usually an area of effect increase isn't that great, but for this one that deals multi-hits, it's excellent. Just look at that. That was fast. Yeah, pretty easy. Okay. I'm going to just wait a little bit so that I have this, and I can continue shredding them. And I'm going to use the active to increase my damage. That's another reason why you want to use Suruga, because of the defense reduction or damage increase, whatever it is that she gives. And even a stun, I deal damage. I love that. Oh my god, I wait. And there. Yeah, it is not like super burst damage, but it's good for AoE damage. If you're facing waves of enemies, this is a pretty good build. So we are almost out of time, so let's go back to the character. Let's see. Yeah, supporters that I don't have. Yeah, because I always forget to evaluate those. Asuka wants generic damage for the most part, but if you want to go for specific damage, then I do suggest that you go for range damage. That's acceptable. Also, she wants HP recovery more than she wants damage reduction. Oddly enough, she's tanky enough to withstand the hits, but she does need the HP recovery. If you have the weapon, you won't have any trouble with that. But if not, use Akina or other supporters that give HP. So let's see. Supporters that work with her. This one is whatever, as usual. It's the supporter that enhances the ulti. This one increases your range attack critical rate by 8% and critical damage by 18 against stunned or groggy enemies. This one can work on her. I wouldn't do it, but it can because she does make enemies groggy. But in my opinion, it's just too weak nowadays. This one is terrible. Don't use it. Never. We don't even need to check it. I already know. This one. It is interesting, to say the least. You don't want to use it on the main slot because it doesn't give you that much value on the base slot. But let me tell you of a very neat interaction. You can just keep track of your HP, get a little damage buff for a while, and then when you're about to die, you just use kill them all missiles with the corresponding weapon, and you're gonna heal yourself, and that's gonna be great. So you keep the damage buff up, especially if you have a good amount of enchantment on your supporters. That's gonna be viable. If not, and if you don't have this, then it's not a good idea. This one we cannot use because she's not protect. This one, as usual, generic good if you want to fight against humans and use your ulti. Just generic good. It's not like busted. And especially on the subslot, not something you want on your main. This you cannot use because it's for humans. Yeah, it's for humans. This one, normal attack and increases melee attack. No, don't use this one. As I said, the main damage from Asuka comes from the range part of the attack. So even though she's mixed, you don't want to increase her melee damage unless you're doing the three color build. Only then. And in the main you want White Feather Asuka. This one is for demons. And this one, I wouldn't recommend it because she's not going to hit enough, in my opinion. I mean, quickly enough. And the same goes for this one. It's just not ideal for Asuka. So with those out of the way, let's go with the weapons. Here, the filter. Asuka. Yep. Asuka. So what do we have here? The horrible package weapon, as usual, which doesn't work at all. Let's see. We have the premium weapon, which nobody uses. We have this one. The exclusive weapon for Asuka. Deals damage and stuns enemies in the air. In the area. Increases speed by 20% for 10 seconds when using the active, I guess. So yeah, that's not bad. The speed increase is good, especially because it's at 20%. I guess it could go up to 40%. I need to check. Let's see. What's this? Crimson Arm. Increased damage dealt to other Taimanins by 24. Reduces damage taken from ultimates. This is the red weapon, the red arena weapon. Yeah, because it doesn't look that red to me. Okay, those are the arena weapons, yes. The Momochi weapon. I mean, if you use one of the crit builds, you may, but I wouldn't recommend it on challenging content. The summer weapons, which none of my builds were focused on ultimates because I don't have the supporters to enhance ultimates, so I wouldn't recommend this. Again, the bad skill that requires you to gain stacks when using a skill. It's not when hitting. If it was with hits, it would be great for Asuka, but it's with the skill activation, so not good. The super armor weapon, this one. Now we're gonna check this one. It says, when using Rendering Storm, has a 20% chance to reuse Rendering Storm by using particles when dodging. Leaves a wind blade behind that lasts for 5 seconds and continuously deals 20% damage to the enemies in reach every 5 seconds. It is not bad. If you want to go red, this is probably the best weapon you can equip to Asuka, because the other weapon requires you to use kill 'em all missiles to get the HP recovery, and the red effect on that skill is not good. So if you go red, use this one, if you have it, that is. Then we have the snake weapon, similar to the what's the name? The summer weapon. It gives you particle charge increase, and it does the sludge wave when you use the active, which is pretty good for a ranged character. And we see that Asuka is mixed, but most of the damage is range, so you could actually use this with the correct build for range blue. Okay, let's see. Other than that, we have Serpent of Carnage. Another one of the best weapons, along with the limited character pack. This is the limited seasonal pack, which is a pretty good weapon. Restores HP by 2% of damage dealt by kill 'em all missiles. Increase damage dealt of kill 'em all missiles by 50% against super armor. So yeah, it goes up to 100%, and it really is effective thanks to the HP recovery, which Asuka lacks. And the last one, the Impact Blade. Okay, so this one increases explosion damage of Mag Punch, Mag Impact, and Bomb Escape by 20%, and increases all types of damage of Mag Impact by 50% when one enemy is nearby. I mean, it's a generic damage increase. It is pretty good, but if you want to use Asuka as the main attacker, it is fine. If you don't need HP recovery on the stage you're tackling, it is fine. But if there's the risk of losing with one hit, or getting your HP down and having to keep going on the stage for a while, it is not good because you don't have sustain. Usually you want to go for this Serpent of Carnage. This one is acceptable if that's the only one that you have. And this one is better for red. Even this could be better for other builds like green and blue, depending on what you're going for, because it does increase the damage of 3 skills, so that's important. The unfortunate thing is that 2 of these skills are color exclusive, so you're not gonna get the benefit on every build, just on blue and green, if I'm not mistaken. Let's check that, because those are all the weapons. It's all the max. Where is my girl? There we go. Mag Punch blue and Mag Impact green, and Bumps Away, it's 2 colors, so you can use it, so you get the benefit on 2 skills for blue or green. I mean, it is good. Asuka, it is a very difficult to use character, in the sense that she requires good supporters to carry her, and also the correct weapon. If you have, for example, the Momochi weapon, you can do the crit builds, but that's about it. If you have this one, she won't specialize or anything, and she's gonna be at risk of losing all her HP unless you're using the blue build. The red is just busted. It deals too much damage to even care, especially with her supporter, so she doesn't have to worry about anything. And this one gives consistency to Asuka. It's excellent, because you can just recover HP whenever you want. So yeah, Asuka is a good attacker and a decent slow supporter. Also, she's pretty good on destroying super armor. So if you want to do that, that is a viable option. But one suggestion: try to get her limited weapon and supporter, especially the supporter. The weapon, if you don't have the weapon, that's fine, and it's especially okay if you have the other seasonal weapon. But the supporter that you want is, where is the supporter? Where is the supporter? White Feather Asuka. I cannot believe, there. This. You want even 2 copies or 3 copies of this, because that way you're going to shred BR. It is just insanely easy if you have this. So whenever she come back, try to get as many copies as you can. And besides, the activation condition is being machine or being red, which machine may be a rare trait, but red is not. Many characters activate this. Astaroth even activates this if she wants, and she does have her Hellfire to proc that. So going back to Asuka, she's good, especially as a damage dealer, but she needs to have the correct equipment. If you don't have the correct equipment, she's going to underperform for sure. She really needs that you invest on her to perform properly. It's a shame because she's very fun to play, and she can be a very easy to use supporter in blue, but that's about it. She's also very easy to use on green because crit, that's green's model. So that's another thing that's pretty easy to do. But other than that, if you want to play with Asuka or get Asuka, you need to have a couple supporters that do help her out. If not, she's going to struggle to clear any kind of stage. That's why I did all these builds for her. So that's about it for today, and I'll be seeing you next time. Bye!